Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me tonight are Useless,
Hello, how goes it?
JenTMaxi,
Hello.
Mr. Adam,
Greetings.
and as it is once again a Friday night, of course, I'm the keeper for the night, Sanguine Mathghamhain. How are all of you doing tonight?
Sore, but live and kicking.
Always better than the alternative.
Yep.
How about you, Jen?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm looking forward to the fact that it does look like we're getting rid of Trudeau. I don't know that it's a
Nice.
fact, but we have a chance to get rid of him on the 20th. So
Nice.
look out for the 21st.
Good luck on ridding yourself of Castro's byblow.
Yeah.
Well, I suspect he's gone for more reasons than just me. Like, I'm just saying on the Western Front, having just a senior citizen in the middle who's kind of in control of, like, some of the biggest bombs. Yeah, I don't think Mexico's going to be able to handle that. Sorry,
Mhm.
Mexico. I feel for you guys. I think this is the first time in forever that everyone's kind of looking at Mexico and going, "You guys are the sanest ones on our continent."
Except for the corruption, but
Oh,
Yeah,
that.
don't get too far ahead. They still had their
Well, they still come to America. I get there's usually a reason why people still come to America, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying you guys are looking a lot more sane than we are, or at least you haven't changed, and that's that helps a lot.
And the saddest thing is that they're one of the most successful socialist governments on the planet, and their people can't wait to get the fuck out of it.
Yeah. Well, I know if you're an American citizen, you go down there. If a Mexican citizen wants a job, you can't get the job.
Hmm.
I know that.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, yes, Mexico had a socialist government for the longest fucking time. It was all effectively one party ran Mexico. And that one party had the most Orwellian and communist sounding name that you can imagine because it was the party of the institutionalized revolution.
Whoa.
Yeah, sounds foreboding as all fuck, doesn't it? And how are you doing
Yeah.
tonight, Adam?
Well, I'm doing all right. It's a Friday night evening. It's pretty nice out,
Yep.
I lay in bed all day.
Kiever Dam's saying that her job has shitty hours, both second and first shift. So,
Yeah.
question is your job doing the shifts in the proper order, or is it doing them in the order that apparently the DOC tends to do them? For those who don't know, most of the time when you're talking shift work, first shift, second shift, third shift, first shift is the first shift to clock in every day. Third shift is the third shift to clock in every day. Everyone gets that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sh-
Yeah. The
Wait,
Department
what
of
was it? I'm sorry.
When you're talking shift work, first shift is the first shift to clock in each day. Third shift is the third shift to clock in each day. Second, of course, being the second shift to clock in. Makes sense, right?
Well, when's graveyard shifts?
That'd
That's
be
third shift.
third shift.
Oh,
Yeah, most places that's third shift. But when I was working for the Department of Corrections, it was an absolutely retarded system where it wasn't the numbers weren't assigned by the shift that clocks in, but the order that the shifts clock out.
Oh.
So first shift was the first shift to clock out every day, which meant that it was overnight. Second shift was the second shift to clock out, morning. And then third shift, or yeah, third shift was the third shift to clock out every day, which meant that that was the afternoon shift. Made no fucking sense. And they also made it so that rather than your work day being counted as a day that you start work. It was counted as the day that you clock out.
Huh.
So if you went into work on Saturday and worked into Sunday morning, yeah, you just worked the Sunday morning shift.
One way to do it, I guess.
Makes no fucking sense.
I'm used to working a 12-hour shift, so I usually get 1 or 2 shifts, you know.
Yeah. Well, even then, you tend to have 3 shifts tends to be standard, whether you work 8s or 10s or 12s.
Yeah.
They just have a greater overlap. So if you're working 12s, you tend to have like 4 hours of overlap between each of the shifts.
Sometimes. It depends on what you're doing. Like security, you don't have that.
True. If you're working a 1 or 2 patrol security, then yeah, it tends to have an overlap of maybe like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So you tend to work like 12 hours and 30 minutes or some shit like
Yeah,
that.
'cause you want to hang out and talk to your buddy, you know.
Yep. But yeah, so any of you guys see anything interesting today? Have anything that you want to bitch and moan about? Get off your chest and...
Well, I wouldn't say bitch or moan. Honestly, the only stuff really going up here that I've been noticing is our politics, pretty much. So effectively, Trudeau has pretty much announced to the world that, Rebel is not invited in anything to do with our politics. He really doesn't like the Rebel news.
Okay.
Despite the fact that they are the only news source that's allowed to go, that's not being paid by the government. Like, they don't get funds from the government. So the only independent news source they don't want in, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
They've also denied the right for Bernier to join the debates, despite the fact that he looks like he's taken over for both the Greens and the Bloc, and it looks like he's taking a decent chunk out of the NDP. So, regardless of whether or not they invite him this time, it looks like he's going to get enough seats that he's going to be part of the parliament. So them denying him the right to debate, I just think it's a poor move on their behalf, because now people are looking at him going, why is he so popular? He's got like 10% of the vote right now is going towards him. Why is this guy getting so much attention? And they're not even letting him go to the debates. I'm like, that's your first mistake. Second, I actually kind of liked the Green Lady. Like, I don't agree with her politics, but as far as a politician goes, she was the only one to answer the question. She was the only one with enough respect for her fellow companion to say something. I mean, that's really sad to me. You know, I'm just saying thank you to that lady. You know, like, I like to see that from people. It's like, regardless of whether or not I like your politics, if you at least show me that you see me as a human being, you get respect points at this point. Because up here, that's a thing. Apparently, if I don't like your politics, I'm allowed to dehumanize you and treat you like, you don't exist.
That's the thing here as well. I was mentioning this before the stream started, that the LA Times put out 2 absolute smear pieces recently. I think just today, both of the smear pieces came out, which is adding on to, I think they've already done something like 4 other smear pieces against Larry Elder.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like, they really seem to hate that guy. I like him. I think he's hilarious, to be honest. But
well, there's a bunch of them taking his jokes serious, you know.
And the main problem that they have with him is he's a black guy that's going...
Doesn't follow the line, yeah.
You know, what you say black people should believe, I don't believe. So...
Well, you know, if they're not vote for Biden, they ain't black, right?
Yep, exactly. So they've said that he is the black face of white supremacy.
Oh, God.
Which, wrap your head around that. Then, today, the 2 articles that they came out with that were complete smear pieces were him going to one of the homeless camps in the area that he was campaigning for a tour to see how they're being treated, see what they're getting, what sorts of things are being done to improve their lot, all that good shit, right? And a number of protesters showed up against him, including a woman wearing a pink gorilla mask that then proceeded to throw eggs and shout racist insults at Larry Elder.
Which meant she missed throwing all the eggs because she was bad at it, you know?
Yep, but the way that this paper reported that, rather than saying Larry Elder was attacked by a racist protester, which they could very well say, considering he was being called things like a coon, an Uncle Tom, and shit like that, which are racist insults. They decided instead their wording would be that Larry Elder forced to cut short his visit to the homeless camp due to a, I think they said, hostile reception.
Yeah.
Which, that makes it sound like the homeless people were telling Larry Elder to get the fuck out of there, right?
Yep. When
Not
they
that
weren't.
someone in a gorilla mask, because Larry Elder's a black man, and they were saying that it was because he's a black man, so he was a gorilla. Throwing eggs at him and shouting racial slurs.
Getting in the face of the security detail, you know?
Yeah, rather than pointing out that that was what he was forced him to cut his visit short, a racist attack on him by a protester for his political opposition, they decided to make it sound like Larry Elder was just told to fuck off by the homeless people.
You know, I bet you if it was Roseanne wearing a gorilla mask saying some shit about some politician, that lady would have had her show canceled.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then, to make it even worse, they doubled down on it with their second story about this event. Because again, they had the opportunity to make the headline be something along the lines of LAPD to investigate racist attack on Larry Elder. But instead, they had it as LAPD to investigate incident involving Larry Elder at the homeless camp.
Well, you wouldn't want them to admit what they actually are. I mean, they're really good at pointing fingers at everybody else and being like, look at these really racist people, but then look at them actually be really, really racist. The minute you said gorilla mask, and honestly, I'd heard this article before anyway, but the minute they said gorilla mask, you knew who they were talking about. Because I'm sorry, the right doesn't automatically go with the, oh, you're talking about a gorilla, must be a black man.
Yeah, and the only time that I heard someone who was on the right refer to someone as looking like a gorilla, they objectively did.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't just talk about one person looking like a gorilla. When they were attacked saying, isn't that racist that you were saying they look like a gorilla? Their response was effectively, Ron Perlman looks like a gorilla too. You don't find that racist?
Well, they did it to Rose on Bard. She said someone looked like a gorilla and she got all fired for it.
Yeah,
they did it to fucking George Bush. They called him a fucking monkey.
Yeah. George Bush did kind of look like a...
He does capuchin. Look like a... Come on.
A little bit.
He looks like a little bit of a capuchin with his ears.
Can I just say, like, can we end this shit of we can't say humans look like... Some humans just have some animalistic fucking traits, or we see... Yeah. Hey, you know what? If you're going to sit there and tell me that the face on Mars is just a rock that humans are finding a face pattern in, okay, then you know what? Sometimes people are looking at people and finding animal patterns. All right? That's
Yeah.
how it works.
Well, we are animals, so it makes sense.
Well, yeah,
There are
but that's what I
ones-
mean. Like, I don't see a fucking problem in it. It's like, okay, so some of you look like a koala, some of you look like a fucking parrot, some of you look like a fucking monkey, some of you look like a fucking ant.
Yeah,
Like,
you
good
cannot.
fuck.
You cannot tell me that you can look at a picture of Ron Perlman
Oh, I got a
and
B for
an
that? Damn it.
albino gorilla
Yeah.
that you aren't going, man, if you shave that albino gorilla, it's a dead fucking ringer.
Hell, people are saying things like, Brian Seltzer looks like a potato. Okay, well, fine. If we're
That's an
if-
insult to potatoes.
well,
Yeah, they have more brain power than he does.
whoa, they do charge a clock.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you stick electrodes in them, you can at least run a light bulb.
Oh man! But if you doll up a potato, hold on though.
Oh,
But yeah, there's people that look like animals, and it's not racist to say that someone looks like an animal, unless when asked, oh, how do they look like an animal? You go, well, they're black.
yeah.
Yeah,
If that's your justification for why someone looks like a gorilla, yeah, you're a fucking racist. But if your justification for why do they look like a gorilla, have you seen their nose? Have you seen their eye? Look at their face. Here's a picture of a gorilla, and here's the picture. I can circle every point where there's a similarity. If that's your justification, it's not racist. Because you can do that with Ron fucking Perlman.
yeah. And like I
And-
said, you could do it with a rock and fucking Mars. So come on.
Yeah. You can
Enough
do
of
it
this
with
shit.
You
a
do it
bunch
again.
of different people. A lot of people
Hey,
look like
no.
various animals.
Hold on. I think there's like a old ass tree in either Germany or probably England. Now that I think about it, but it has a face, and they
Is it
have
one
like
of the green men trees?
yeah, like where they say it's like an old man face tree or something like that, and it does it. It grew. And you can sit there and be like, "Oh, random," and it's all random. That the bumps just kind of shaped out to look like a. Okay, fine.
Oh,
Then it
isn't
looks.
there a
that's what
word
it is.
that describes when you see faces and things?
I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
It's pareidolia.
Okay.
It's when, and it's not just seeing faces, but seeing faces is an example of pareidolia. Pareidolia is just when you see patterns in things that
They have no pattern.
don't really have a pattern.
Yeah.
Like when
hold on.
you're looking at a cloud and you go, that cloud looks exactly like an elephant. Yeah, that's pareidolia.
Yeah. So if we're willing to accept that, then you have to accept. Yeah. Then some humans look fucking like animals. Like
Well,
shit.
it's not even just that. Like, you could even make a comment about a kid climbing on a jungle gym, and they're automatically like, "Oh, you're being like, no,
You're
I'm
acting
sorry,
like
I
a
was-
monkey. Like
Yeah,
shit.
I was
oh.
accused of that multiple times by my mom because I was climbing on shit when I shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
They act like everything that we do has to be some kind of evil behind it. Like, you have a trait like an animal.
Well, that's
So
because they do the evil behind it,
yeah.
Hey, you know what? But a lot of times you'll find a correlation between these people and the other people who'll sit there and be like, you know what? Today I feel like a cat.
Yep.
Right.
Which
I-
it seems
we're
like they
given
should
a-
be flattered if they're told, you know what? You do have a lot of really cat-like aspects. Thank you. I am a cat.
Damn.
Or usually what Campbell does, call them all goblins,
Yeah. I've been living under this bridge for some time.
Those are trolls.
I think I feel like a troll now.
So,
I
now
self-identify
I wonder
as a
if-
chopper. Get to the chopper.
Dude, that would be the best grip. Like, you see a homeless guy and he waits until the light turns red at an overpass and then he just jumps out and be like, ah, this is my bridge. Where's your gold?
Yeah, I was just about to say that seems like a brilliant way for homeless populations.
At least you'd be acting.
Dude.
I'd chuckle. I'd be like, ah, dude, that was good. Here you go.
Avoid
Look at
being
those.
driven off by the cops and various other people. Just,
Yeah.
are you doubting who I am? Are you doubting my identity, my lived experience?
Well, if you ever
I'm a troll. That's why I'm living under the bridge. I'm not homeless. This is my home.
This is my bridge.
Well, if you ever drove through Los Angeles, you see homeless people living on all bridges, overpasses and whatnot, just tents everywhere.
They're building their own
Yeah.
bridges.
All of them just need to identify as trolls. And anytime that someone tries to do something in order to discourage the homeless from living under the bridges, just sue them for not accepting their identification.
Yeah.
Oh no! You know what? Then they're gonna start their whole religion. They're gonna be the bridge troll religion. You know what? We have a right. Our religion says that we're allowed to go and hang out under these bridges and have our
What the fuck would you
practices.
call it? Grendalism?
I don't know. I'm just imagining a bunch of them coming out there, and then they're like, when like the firefighters come out there with the boots, and these trolls like, hey, get out of here! This is our turf. We start having like crusades and shit.
There's a
joke.
show about that, you know.
Well, you
The
joke,
Knights
but
of-
homeless do that.
The Knights of Columbus versus the Troll Bridge.
No, it wouldn't be the Knights of Columbus. You would have the trolls that would end up getting really heavy into it against the Gruffs.
Gross.
Does everyone remember?
I don't know, but I
Billy
want to
Goat
see this.
Gruff story.
Oh,
I
wait,
don't.
like a race of goats, goat people.
Yes, a
Oh shit!
race of goat people.
Hold on,
The-
hold on. We can hold on because it's either actual goat people or it's just people who like to wear goat skins, and
Who
a lot of
identify
them.
as goats.
Yeah. Well, oh shit! See, now there's a third one. They don't wear goat skin, and they don't. They're not goats, but they sure as shit will put makeup on and look like a goat. Shit. Or wait, no. Now we got a fourth one because we got the guy who's gonna sit there and buy a whole goat fursuit and then be a goat, but not really be a goat. He's the fourth. Holy fuck! We have fractionized this faction already. They got 4 banners.
So, for those who don't know the Billy Goat Gruff story, shall I quickly read it off? It is a very short story.
I guess.
Sure.
The 3 Billy Goats Gruff. Once upon a time, there were 3 Billy Goats who were to go up to the hillside to make themselves fat, and the name of all 3 was Gruff. On the way up was a bridge over a cascading stream they had to cross, and under the bridge lived a great ugly troll with eyes as big as saucers and a nose as long as a poker. So first of all came the youngest Billy Goat Gruff to cross the bridge. Trip tap went the bridge. Who's that tripping over my bridge? Roared the troll. Oh, it is only I, the tiniest Billy Goat Gruff, and I'm going up to the hillside to make myself fat, said the Billy Goat, with such a small voice. Now I'm coming to gobble you up, said the troll. Oh no, pray don't take me, I'm too little. That I am, said the Billy Goat. Wait a bit till the second Billy Goat Gruff comes. He's much bigger. Well, be off with you, said the troll. A tiny little while after came the second Billy Goat Gruff to cross the bridge. Trip tap went the bridge. Who's that tripping over my bridge? Roared the troll. Oh, it's the second Billy Goat Gruff, and I'm going to the hillside to make myself fat, said the Billy Goat, who hadn't such a small voice. Now I'm come to gobble you up, said the troll. Oh no, don't take me. Wait a little till the big Billy Goat Gruff comes. He's much bigger. Very well, be off with you, said the troll. But just then, up came the big billy goat Gruff. Trip tap, trip tap, trip tap went the bridge. For the billy goat was of so heavy. For the billy goat was so heavy that the bridge creaked and groaned under him. Who's that trampling over my bridge? Roared the troll. It's I, the big billy goat Gruff, said the billy goat, who had an ugly, hoarse voice of his own. Now I'm come to gobble you up, roared the troll. Well, come along, I've got 2 spears and I'll poke your eyeballs out of your ears. And I've got besides 2 curling stones, and I'll crush you to bits, body and bones. That was what the big billy goat said. And then he flew at the troll, poked his eyes out with his horns, and crushed him to bits, body and bones, and tossed him out into the Cascades. And after that, he went up the hillside. There the billy goats grew so fat they were scarcely able to walk home again. And if that fat hasn't fallen off them, why, they're still fat. And so, snip, snap, snout, this tale told out. That's
You said it was going to be short.
It was short. That's not even a full page of a story.
I mean, not going to lie, that was good reading.
Thank you.
Reading out with Sanguine, you know.
But yeah, it's an old folk tale.
Yeah.
It was first penned down in, I want to say, the 1800s.
So you won't get copyright struck for it?
Oh no, it's ancient. It'd be like trying to copyright strike me if I start talking about the Tuatha De Danann.
Man, they're going to copyright strike us if we tell the tale of Gilgamesh and Enkidu fighting Harumba. Or Harumbi. No,
that
Harumbi.
just includes a lot of lacuna.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
For those who don't know, the phrase, or the word lacuna, is a term when it comes to ancient writings. It's when the writing is missing a part of it, or the part that exists in the initial text is so marred that it cannot be read. So you end up with lacuna, a blank space.
Gotcha.
So when you're hearing a lot of ancient tales, especially if someone is trying to read them as truly as they can, you'll end up with a shit ton of, it'll be like a line or two will be read, lacuna. A line or two will be read, lacuna. And Enkidu and Gilgamesh, lacuna. Will just be thrown in because those are all the blank spots in the original text.
Yep. Until they find new stuff, you know.
Yep, until they find a secondary source that's able to fill in the initial source, and then they'll start filling that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason why, if you've ever had someone, if you've ever listened to any of the videos of someone reading, for example, Ishtar visiting the underworld, like half of Ishtar visiting the underworld is lacuna. And hello, Sir Adamantine. How goes?
Hello.
Hi.
But yeah, if the homeless start identifying as bridge trolls, then you will end up with a new religion propping up of Gruffism, and the Gruffists will have a go at the homeless population trolls.
Yeah, they will.
I'm just picturing, like, it starts with a few, but then it just starts overpopulating, and they're crawling out like it's Goblin Town from fucking Lord of the or the fucking Hobbit, and they're just like crawling up from the fucking under the bridge, and you're like, oh shit, This is why there's traffic. Fucking
And
bridge trolls are attacking again.
Terry, you have that slightly wrong. Lacuna Matata would clearly be Lacuna Matata. What a wonderful.
Yeah. Oh.
You need to have that blank space in there.
Yeah. But there are a lot of homeless people who do attack the, workers and whatnot.
So what you're saying is that we need to found the gruffest order.
Yeah. Because they do get territorial, for real,
Yeah.
You see homeless fight other homeless people for, spots.
Have
You could teach them to ride
trios-
horses and shoot rifles. Wait, what?
Have trios of billy goats go out into the town to.
Oh shit. Oh, Billy Goat armor
boy.
or fucking army.
Yeah. You
No,
have them
No.
all decked out in goat skins. You
Hey,
have to
I-
have them of 3 different sizes. One very small, very young. That's the apprentice billy goat of the gruffest order. So they're small. They have a timorous voice, nearly that of a castrato. For those who know singing parts, or are just a fan of liturgical Latin choirs and castration.
Oh, shit! Just a little pop-up video. Dude, when I met Weibo this past weekend,
Mm-hmm.
she's a fucking magical.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, fucking, yeah, me too. It was pretty cool. But
So clearly, what we need to do is we need to figure out all of the minions and minion adjacent people that can sing, and at some point just have all of us sing.
I mean, I can sing badly. Does that count?
we are the world.
No,
We
let's not
are
have something
the
that.
children. We have a thing, and it's supposed to. Wait, I don't recall what were they singing before?
Let's not go
'Cause
for
there's-
something as.
People dying, and it's not enough for the children. Wait, these are not the lyrics.
I don't think
No.
they are. No.
Yeah, I don't want to butcher it anymore. I'm sorry, Michael Jackson.
And
it's been a while.
Terry Diamantis is already rubbing it in that the Australians could have warned us. They had several hours, but no, nary a warning came from them. You live in the future, you might as well fucking use it, right?
Dude, they were all eating fucking Vegemite and fighting emus. Probably
Yep.
throwing boomerangs.
See, the problem is we couldn't help you with your emu war because we don't live in the future to you. So we found out about it at least like 2 days after it happened.
Oh shit! Yeah, there was a Twitter post. I think somebody posted like, "Now you're gonna ask for the emu's help" or something like that. It's like, yeah, maybe the Australians should team up with the emus and
With the
take
gruff
back
emus?
the country. Yeah. Oi, Sheila, we're gonna ride into Melbourne and on our emus.
And
Let's
Terry
go! I don't know. That's my
And
best
Terry
Australian
Diamantis
accent.
was able to figure out the 2 songs that you merged. One of them was obvious, which was "We Are the World," which was the one that you started with, and then you
Yeah.
combined that with "Heal the World."
It's a mix. A remix.
Hey, look, I'll figure out what these songs are. You focus on the emu war that is right outside your door, sir.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Terry does Terryisms in every house, so he's safe.
And you know what? When I figure out the split of this song, we'll have 2 songs that'll generate money for the Australian emu war.
And the way that Keeverdam just typed out "emu," is that a cow that's online? It's
Yes.
Tess Holiday and emu.
Oh God.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm picturing a giant like gross-looking chocobo.
And yes, Beaverdam has confirmed that an emu, spelled E-M-O-O, is in fact a cow that's online. There's a great number of emus online.
Yeah.
Especially in the Tumblr zones.
Oh, but does he have a E? Oh shit! See, I ruined it.
Well, I've been watching this YouTube channel where all he does is trim cow's feet, and it's kind of satisfying to watch. Really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it now?
Yeah. If you get past the pus and blood, yeah.
No.
So it's kind of like a farrier.
Just call me old-fashioned then.
I am thinking the right profession, right? It was the farrier that managed the hooves, correct?
Well, I'm not sure. I never got that far into it.
Let me quickly double check.
Yeah.
Farrier.
I didn't know it was a job at first. So like, wow, you know.
Yeah, it was a... Yep, it is... Oh, technically a farrier specializes in equine hooves.
Okay, so
but
horses.
I'm pretty sure that there's... Oh, it's not really that they just specialize in equine, it's just that their main trade was in equine.
Yeah.
But they would do any hooved animal.
Yeah, it's interesting. A 1,600-pound animal on these tiny legs, you know.
Yep. Well, they functionally have one toe.
Yeah.
They have one toe and they're walking around on their toe now.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yep. But yeah, the farrier was the proper term for someone who dealt with the hooves.
Nice.
And just because it drives me crazy, it's hooves and roofs, not hoofs and roofs.
So there's V's in there?
Yeah, you swap out the F's for V's and ES's.
So not a tomato, just tomato, not a potato, only a potato.
Who the fuck ever says potato? Other than
I
when they're
don't
saying
know,
potato,
but
potato.
I say it every once in a while just to throw people off. Potato.
Well, do you say flatware or silverware?
Silverware. Depends on what I'm using.
Silverware has become a generalized term. It used to be that flatware was the general term, and then silverware was the specific, and it had to be made out of silver in order to be categorized as silverware.
Yeah. Because I still call it flatware. So.
Yeah, it's the more generalized term.
I mean, some people don't know the term, so they just say whatever sounds best, you know.
Also, pigeon should have a D in it. Fuck everyone who says otherwise.
It's pigeoned.
I realize that it fell out of common usage, other than when you're talking about a pigeon language. It's still used as a D, typically. But...
It's like we took use out of our words, too, you know.
Yeah, that bothers me less, though I tend to default to use in words rather than removing them. But removing the U doesn't appreciably change the pronunciation of the word.
Yeah.
Whereas you say pigeon. There's a very soft D in that word. You don't say piggin. No, it's pigeon.
Yeah.
Whereas if you remove the D, it should be piggin.
And Keeper Dam says refrigerator should have a D in it, because everybody says fridge.
Ah.
Yeah. Words are weird, though.
That there. That there.
They be spelled the same, but mean two different things.
Yeah. Especially when you have a language that is so prolific at cannibalizing other languages, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Soon to be the common language, you know.
Well, it's also every generation that comes up afterwards always likes to play with the language too.
Well, there's always going to be slang.
Yeah, that's just... Because language is fun.
Yeah.
slang is not the issue. I have no problem when slang arises. I have a problem when words get just completely fucked out of all meaning.
Yeah.
Kind of like how gay got fucked out of a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite examples of words that have been fucked out of all their meaning are literally.
Yeah.
Because now literally, according to the dictionary, means both in actual matter and figuratively. How the fuck do you make a word its own antonym?
Yeah.
Also, another one that drives me crazy is bi-weekly.
Oh, they messed that up.
What would you think bi-weekly means?
Maybe 14 days. Or every 2 weeks, you know?
Yep. A lot of people fuck it up by making it mean semi-weekly. So, rather than saying that they have a semi-weekly meeting, they say that they have a bi-weekly meeting, which makes it seem like, yeah, it's every fortnight. Whereas, if you want it to be twice a week, then it's a semi-weekly meeting. Because it happens twice every week.
It sounds like it might not even happen every week, you know? Or when it says semi.
No, semi just means half, so it happens every once half week.
Once half week, okay. That's a lot of meetings.
Yeah, see, that's when it's like, all right, so what is the exact date for this fucking meeting? And will there be fucking donuts? Because I'm sick of going to these meetings and not having any sort of fucking pastries. Because I'm hungry, okay?
And they're a waste of time anyway.
Yeah, well, no, not the pastries, sir. Get out of here with that. They are delicious. You know, if they're warm. No, I'll enjoy the meeting a whole lot more. I will be like, yes, whatever you say. I will applaud you.
Why don't you have donuts
Thank
coffee,
you for this. Thank you for this bagel. This is delicious. This is exactly what I needed.
Terry, I absolutely agree. Decimate should still mean to reduce a population by 10%. Because that was what decimate meant. Because deci means 1/10.
Oh yeah, because you know, one out of 10 Roman legionnaires killed the other guy and all that shit. Yep.
Yeah, you'd count off by 10 and hope to God you weren't number 10. Because if you were,
I know. It's
the other
just
9 would beat you to death.
talking to. Sometimes I forget that. You know, because I read about this shit over and over and over again. So sometimes I forget. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that's what it means. Right? And I forget that there's people that, you know, aren't a nerd like me that'll sit there and look up on their free time what the fuck this shit is. You know?
And check, what you just said is the exact opposite of what you think you said. Because bicycle means that for every cycle, there's 2, or unicycle would be 1 wheel, right? So bicycle is 2 wheels. So for every bike, you have 2 wheels. So something that is bi-weekly is for every 1, you have 2 weeks.
I mean, you want further proof? You can look at a trike or a tricycle.
Yep.
It's just 3 wheels. So it's like, okay, well, I think that solidifies what they were talking about when they worked that word out.
Yeah. It's 2 for every 1. Whereas if it's a semi-weekly meeting, that means that it's a half week for every meeting.
Well, you get to learn a lot about meanings of words, about breaking down the syllables, you know.
Yes, and just so that you know, if you have one with 4 wheels, they're called a quad. They're fun, too.
Yeah.
Especially when your dad doesn't have an appropriate belt and he has to make one out of rubber bands.
With no duct tape?
Oh, yeah. It was so fun, though.
But I don't recall a quad ever having a seatbelt on it. 'Cause it seems kind of dangerous.
Yeah,
flips over.
that's a recent thing, and they don't really come with them. You have to purchase them separately.
Huh.
But yeah, you can attach seatbelts for the back in case you have kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You
Man,
have quads. See, I'm still waiting for I guess other gen, mother gen.
Jenna P?
Yeah, because she owes me a dirt bike, and so I'll be excited. I'll keep that in mind. Rubber
Yeah,
bands.
I have a scar on one of my knees from riding a quad because it ended up fishtailing at the wrong moment in a turn. So I smashed a mailbox with my knee.
Oof.
It was a metal mailbox that part of the metal when I
Why
smashed
wasn't it a female box? Oh, I'm sorry.
slit the side of my knee. And then it went down a hill, was going towards woods. It still had enough momentum that I was going, oh, I'm going to have my head taken off by a fucking tree branch. So I decided to bail off the quad. And everything looked good around me. I jump off the quad at the wrong fucking time. Massive rock, I land on the side of it with my ribs.
Ow.
Kind of get bent in half over the rock. Bent in half sideways, not the standard way. Cracked my ribs on that. Didn't actually break them, just had that nice solid hit of the rock against my ribs. Popped up, realized that the quad was about to crash in, ran forward, grabbed onto the ass end, and then had to drag it back up a hill.
Yep. I crashed a
Then
trike once.
Ah.
I
Yeah,
felt
my-
like I crashed into a ditch. Landed on me. There's all spurt my leg, you know. I was like 13 at the time, you know.
Yeah, my uncle, when he found out that the mailbox had been completely exploded, it was his neighbor's mailbox. He had a metal shop on his property, so he made the most over-engineered mailbox to replace his neighbor's mailbox and slammed that in the ground for his neighbor.
Nice.
Hold on.
Yep.
Is damaging a mailbox a federal offense?
Only if it's owned by a federal company.
It would have been technically tampering with the mail if there had been mail in it and if I had absconded with said mail.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say like I don't think that if it were to be looked into, it would have been like yeah, the clearly an accident. It could be
Yeah.
replaced, you know, like but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, didn't they write something about you shouldn't be
Well, vandalizing the blue ones, the drop boxes, are federal crime.
Yep, because
Well,
that's
yeah, definitely
considered
those,
tampering
yeah.
with mail.
Yeah.
And technically, tampering with anyone's mailbox is supposed to be a crime. Most of the time, it's just, are you really going to insist that we pursue this in a court of law? And most people go, yeah, you're right. Fuck it now. So,
Especially if it was an
most-
accident, you know.
Yeah, accidents are never, even though when it's the jackass neighbor kids taking baseball bats to mailboxes in the neighborhood.
They
They
must have
tend-
watched that Beavis and Butthead.
They tend to get a slap on the wrist and then maybe a fine unless they're doing it a fuck ton and then it becomes a, you know what? We gave you a slap on the wrist. Kept doing it. We gave you another slap on the wrist. You kept doing it. Fuck you. Here's a charge.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be a moment. I have to
Okay.
go to the bathroom.
Well,
Fair
some
enough.
people don't learn from their mistakes, you know.
Yeah.
Or they don't care.
There's a fair number of people that don't learn from a mistake unless it costs them something.
Yeah. Which is kind of stupid, but you know.
Well, and there's also those people that lose something and then they decide to dig down and say, you know what, they took this, so I'm gonna do it again. You know, there's. I'm not gonna say that there's a lot. I would like to hope there's not a lot, but there is these people out there. You know.
Yeah.
So it's. But yeah. You know, I'm just saying this only because I too had to go to the bathroom, but I guess Jen beat me to it, and so I'm gonna wait until she gets back, and then I can use the restroom.
Spud Gun is apparently going to be hearing Squirrel Speed, goddamn Billy Goat's Gruff at a certain point because he's 49 minutes behind, watching it in 2 times speed in order to catch up.
It's because you have a soft, slow voice, huh?
Yo, yeah, your voice probably sounds pretty decent at double double place.
I don't know. I'm not quite at the point that some people are where it sounds like it takes a fucking age and a half for them to get through a standard goddamn sentence. I do have a bit more ponderous of a speech than many people, at least when I'm not concentrating. Or at least when I'm concentrating, rather. If I'm not concentrating, then I can get a fairly good roll of things, just like I am right now, which allows me to speak at a fairly good clip.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. It's two different things. Like on one end, it's if you are speaking slowly, but you're addressing the topic adherently, I guess. I just
Coherently.
Coherently. Because when as the example, the Billy Goat's Gruff, you were reading it, you know, like you weren't repeating anything, you know, you were reading straight through. So even at your pace, if you sped it up, it's still audible.
Yeah.
The thing is that the difference is I would speed it up for people who have an issue with they're constantly like they got to repeat phrases or you know, like, oh, and I said this, and then let me tell you because I said this, and then, you know, also I said this, and when I said this, I was saying this, and because I was saying this is what I was saying, and because I was saying, there's some people who fucking do this, and it's like, Jesus, dude, just get to the fucking point, and then I don't have to fucking speed it up. But
That's Tim Pool for you, you know.
Yeah, they're the people that
I didn't want to say it.
That were told in probably an education class that in order to teach people, you need to tell them what you're going to say.
And
say what you're going to say.
They're fucking wrong. Get to the fucking point. I want a spearhead. If I'm gonna get shot, just fucking shoot me.
Review what you've just said, and then give a closing remark on what you've said.
Yep.
And those people, they drive me insane. There is a time when it can be useful, but you need to know when that time is.
Yo, you know, another thing too is when some of these guys who do these hosts where they get these catchphrases, you know, and they gotta add these catchphrases in there, and it's like, dude, are you realizing that you're saying this? Like,
right.
You don't need to say this. It's not necessary.
It's like to say right after every sentence, you know.
You're not telling a story, and you're not hosting a late night talk. If you're divulging information, I want the fucking information. Just tell me what the fuck you're telling me. You know, like, get the fuck on with it.
The catchphrases don't bother me as much if they're just peppered in at the right point. The ones that drive me crazy are the ones that were never very good to begin with, but they tried to milk the ever-living fuck out of them. And a good example of this is from one of the worst news sources that you could possibly imagine, right?
Uh-oh.
Of course, right?
No.
Of course.
Yeah. It's all
The host's
you're
pleasure.
just going, what the shut up. Stop asking if you're right. I know you need constant reassurance, but you never are. Just
Probably a nervous tick, like people say, you know, or like all the time.
But I can understand, they're complete vocal tics.
Yeah.
He says, right? Like he's expecting everyone to go, oh yes, you're right, of course. What you just said is 100% accurate, and we're all with you because you're saying the right thing at the right time, and it's important that you say the right thing at the right time. Yes, we're with you. When it's kind of like when a comedian pauses for laughter,
Yeah.
and it immediately takes you out of the joke.
Hold on. If
Like
they
when you
do
look at
it,
the camera.
if they don't do it properly, because there are comedians who do it properly, like Norm Macdonald, and it's a beneficial to the joke, but that's the thing. But he's a comedian. He's not telling you a story to try and convey some information or like to do a review or something. It's fucking Norm Macdonald. He's gonna give you a joke. You might get some information from it, but it's ultimately a joke. So the pause is,
why it works for Norm Macdonald is when he pauses for laughter,
They're laughing.
people are laughing.
Well, or they're trying to understand why he's making such absurd fucking statements. Yeah.
Well, have you seen him on Norm Macdonald on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? He almost won. By one question, you know.
Norm
Have you seen his interviews where he explains why he lost?
Norm is a fairly clever guy that just knows his pacing, and he plays up certain aspects of his personality for the humor, and it works because of that. The ones who drive me insane are the ones who pause for laughter, and there wasn't even a joke there.
Lily Singh. There you go. There's your
Exactly.
contrast.
Yeah, Lily Singh is a beautiful example of that, because her jokes boil down to,
I
well,
hate men. Men suck, especially if they're white. If you're white, I hate you. And for some reason, every white girl that she mimics ends up being like the hick, and I'm like, did a hick turn you down? Did a hick turn you down? Because it's possible.
Yeah, and it's always her punchlines come in 3 primary flavors from what I've seen. One is, I'm a bisexual woman of color. This is when you should laugh.
Yep.
Oh shit. Wait.
One of the others is
That's her joke, yeah.
Because, of course,
Shit,
it's from a man.
Hmm.
This is, again, when you're supposed to laugh. And then the third variety is, I'm just going to read something completely straight-faced, and then I'm going to do what I think is a silly dance. You should be laughing now. You should be rolling in the floor, just completely undone, unable to breathe due to how hard you're laughing. And I'm going to pause, and I'm going to wait until that happens.
Well, I kind of feel the same way people say Screw on Head is funny. I'm like, I don't see it either, you know?
She's cute, but I wouldn't say funny.
Yeah.
She has her moments.
Like, you can be funny because you're cute, because you're quirky or you do little things that's kind of funny. But that's different from actually telling a joke. Like, I would say, like, if you were to compare her to me, I'm probably a little bit funnier because I actually tell jokes.
Yeah.
I would call her cuter than me, though, because I think she is cuter than me. But she's also younger, so that does add a factor. But I'm also not afraid to tell jokes. Like, I know for a fact I tell jokes I probably shouldn't, especially with where I live.
Those are the best kind of jokes, though.
Right? Like, what's the point of telling a joke if you're not gonna, that's the thing. Like, jokes are supposed to be relative. Like, if you're telling a joke and it's a little bit naughty, but other people are laughing, it's because they can kind of relate to it. Not necessarily as in like they've experienced it, but they understand what you're talking about.
But I do have to grant Lily Singh one thing when it comes to her comedic stylings. She does have more options for ending what is supposed to be a joke than Amy Schumer does.
Mm-hmm.
Because Amy Schumer literally just ends everything with, I'm a filthy whore.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're supposed to laugh. And this is part of the thing that drives me crazy. The people will act like that is some great comedy styling. And they'll say, men tell crass jokes too. You just don't like it because a woman tells a crass joke. Whereas if a guy got on stage and for an hour and a half comedy special ended every joke with, yeah, my balls smell and I don't wash my dick.
Yeah.
I mean,
might
don't get
get
me
a
wrong.
laugh
I would
once.
laugh the first time, but afterwards, I'm like, okay, are you making fun of yourself? Because that's fun too.
You know that
You'll get a laugh
might work
once.
in like a comic last standing type of thing for like one season, but after that, yeah, that wouldn't run. I mean, I think a good point would be like Ralphie May, where he started with, you know, his health and weight jokes, but he worked through that and became one of the fucking funniest comedians out there, you know, like, and that's,
You should always be proving your craft, no matter how good you get at it.
well, that's the thing. If you're going at it as, I just, you know, I like going out there and making poo poo pee pee jokes and making people laugh, you know, because people were laughing at Thanksgiving, you know, I'm gonna go out there and try. You're not gonna succeed. Like, because these people who are out here fucking running these shows, doing their strip club shows, doing their fucking, you know, small stage shows, these people are actually working the business. They're doing it. And
Well,
that's
most people-
the disconnect from it.
Well, a lot of people rest on their laurels. Once they get, you know, some notoriations, they just stop growing. They just stop
And-
trying.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, the thing is that you can get one laugh out of that sort of joke,
Yeah.
and then you move on to other material that has absolutely nothing to do with that. And yeah, you can start to go back around at some random point and make the same sort of joke halfway through the show when you made it at the beginning of the show, and it will still get a big laugh. But there is a world of difference between occasionally doing that sort of joke and just every joke ends with, and I don't wash my dick. Because,
My dick looks like a barn, or at least the inside of one.
yeah, if a male comedian tried to end every joke with the equivalent of the I'm a filthy whore punchline, you would laugh the first time that you heard a joke. The second time, you wouldn't laugh anywhere near as hard. The
Well, no,
third
because
time,
after-
you
after
wouldn't
s-
laugh anywhere near as hard. And then every time after that, you're going, I already know where this is
But-
going to end.
but
It's
even-
going to
even
end
with that-
I'm a filthy whore.
Even with that, if you just look at who people would consider the greats of the comedy sphere, a lot of their jokes aren't really things like that. You know, they're not just focused on being a whore or their
Yeah.
sexual exploits. A lot of them are like life exploits, like shit that they experience,
Yep.
and then they exaggerate and or cartoonize into, you know, something that's, they're storytellers. The good comedians are storytellers, and if you cannot do that, if you're just focused on, I want to say my setup, my punchline, your waka waka, you know, you're not going to get even that, because that was the Muppets. That was a lot of the Muppets jokes, was a setup, punchline, waka waka, but it fucking worked because they were genius at their writing. So you'd be foolish to think that that's something that you can attain, just by simply no one simply walks into fucking comedy.
The best way that I can
Wait,
phrase
that's
it
the
is the thing that makes the Muppets as funny as the Muppets were.
Aside from the fact that they were Muppets, saying the jokes, it's funny. It's like a frog saying, "Oh my God, there's a bear on the stage." That's haha, because Fozzie's a bear and he's trying to explain the joke. But that's the joke. That's part of the joke.
Yeah, and the thing is that each of the Muppets had a different personality.
Yeah.
And every time that it was a different Muppet, the joke was a different joke. So yeah, each of the Muppets had their sort of joke. When you saw Fozzie Bear, you knew that it would be a terrible pun and a waka waka. And
But that's what made it funny, though.
His shtick.
Yeah.
But
and like when you saw Gonzo, it would be a failed,
Evil Knievel.
Yeah, Evil Knievel. Like let me impress Camilla.
Piggy,
Yeah.
Did he hit on Piggy?
Yeah.
No, he hit on the chickens.
He had his Camilla.
Oh, I thought he used to hit on Miss Piggy a lot too.
No, he hit on the chickens.
No, Piggy hit on Kermit.
No, Piggy hit on Kermit, and Kermit ran away from Piggy, but Gonzo liked Piggy, I thought. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Camilla.
Okay.
He was always into his chickens.
I thought that was the Swedish Chef.
No, the Swedish Chef wanted to cook Camilla.
Yeah.
But it was each of the characters had their shtick, and you would have one or two bits with each of the Muppets per episode. So you would have the Kermit style jokes, you would have the Gonzo, you would have the Fozzie, you would have just the Statler and Waldorf heckling from the box seats.
Oh yes.
Which meant that it was constantly changing material. And that's what made it fantastic. That's what makes pretty much every really funny thing really funny. It isn't the same joke just again and again.
I wish it constantly took this final form.
Yeah. They chime in with different jokes at the perfect time so that no joke overstays its welcome.
Damn it, now I want to ask some Muppets. But yes, you are correct, sir.
Why did they make my trailer video Muppet short,
Terry, it is exactly the hello formula, and it's a formula of a lot of really classic shows like that, where think of Fawlty Towers had a good cast of characters. Yeah, you were normally following around Basil, but you had all the other characters coming in and out with different quirks and characteristics, and then you had the characters that were specific to that episode and that episode only. You had the mainstay characters. So each of them lent themselves to a different sort of comedy. And it kept the show funny.
It's not just that, they mixed comedy with drama too. Which kept the show going. It wasn't just jokes, it was actually seriousness sometimes.
Yep.
With the Muppets?
Yeah.
Well,
it was a variety show.
Yeah.
At most they would have the whoever the guest host or the human guest, they would have a special performance maybe, but for the early shows of the Muppet Show, no,
I think I'm thinking about the wrong show then.
I'm not gonna lie though, if they ever did a remake of the Muppets and they had Kermit there, but all of a sudden he starts spouting Jordan Peterson quotes, I would love that. I would record that.
Hey, wait.
Put it in my hall.
Speaking of which, Ranting Monkey posted a tweet because him and Scribe were hosting a show again or running a show tonight earlier this evening.
I thought it was Satsu and Monkey because they're supposed to be playing 7 Days to Die.
Yeah, they're on Twitch right now playing 7 Days.
Yeah.
Is it Satsu? I thought it was Scribe.
Satsu. Yeah. I mean, they have been hanging out a little bit, but I think tonight they were going to play 7 Days because I guess there's a big update on it. So.
Well, Alpha 20 is coming out soon, I think.
Yeah. They're probably going to do I could see them doing a series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, that just kind of ruined my joke because I was going to be like, man, yeah, because Scribe kind of sounds like Kermit, and Monkey could be the Fonzie or something like that.
It would be amazing if we could convince them to do a little Muppet spoof.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
You know, that would actually work though. You could have Monkey and Satsu be the old men, and then you could have Scribe be Kermit.
Well, I already call Monkey
Yeah,
Sassy
they're
the
in
odd
one
couple,
book.
so fits.
But yeah, when you look at a lot of old school comedy shows, the ones that survived for a good long time, they had constantly changing jokes. It wasn't just the same beat again and again and again. They would have recall jokes that you would go back, the callbacks, sometimes also recalls and shit like that they would go back to as a, hey, this is shit that we did before. Here it is again. Like a classic example of that is Monty Python.
Mm-hmm.
With the, and now for something entirely different. And they would just toss that in at random points in between skits. And then they had an entire extended bit that was based off of their, and now for something entirely different cut in, which was, and now for something entirely the same. And they just replayed the skit that they had just shown. And it was a thing that was funny in the meta because you knew that every time that cut-in happened, it was, and now for something entirely different. And then that time it was the inversion.
Yep.
And it became funny as fuck just because you were going, oh, now for something entirely the same? Are they really just gonna, holy shit, they're playing the same exact fucking skit.
So
Genius.
is it true that women don't like Monty Python or don't find it funny?
Oh, I
Wait.
watched it. I mean, I didn't watch
Women
it
don't
religiously,
like
but
Monty Python?
Yeah, I always hear that rumor.
no, I
Okay.
wouldn't say that's true. I knew more girls who liked it than didn't.
Okay.
It really depends on the.
The
You really
skit.
got to go for the nerd girls.
Probably.
And I would say humorless women don't like Monty Python.
Yes, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like I'm
Basics.
ragging on my own sex, but yeah, I find that some women really lack the sense of humor.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing.
I don't know.
Men don't look for funny women though, so that's probably why.
I wouldn't mind a good nerd girl, but once they start scheduling their eating times based off the hobbits, I have to you have to draw a line somewhere.
But you want a second breakfast either?
Well,
And Spud Gun just caught up to 30 minutes past, or 30 minutes before where we are now. So
wait, what
I
happened?
see no problem with Americans using the term fortnight. Everything's tickety-boo about that.
This is a fortnight.
Fortnight is 2 weeks, 14 days.
It's not just
No.
a game.
But who's arguing against?
But good.
Spud Gun just said fortnight from 30 minutes ago. Americans don't really use the term.
Oh well, you know what? We don't serve time travelers here, sir. So
Is he a time traveler or is he just trapped in the past?
well, he was in the past
No,
to
he's still
play
in
the
past
shitty games that suck ass.
Yep.
Nice.
I actually watched some Rocketeer videos. Like I used to play that game as a kid. I was like, goddamn.
Which one?
Rocketeer, the Super Nintendo one.
There's a Super Nintendo. I've only played the Nintendo one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that game, it was fucking horrible. I couldn't even beat the first level.
I know, if you're talking horrendous games, Jekyll and Hyde.
I've never played it though, but I heard of it.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I actually watch AVG until fall asleep too, so it's kind of weird.
I do that. You put on like, for some reason, if I put on season 3, I'll wake up and I'll look at what it ended at, and it's at the fucking Christian games.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I'm sitting there. I always look at it. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's that weirdo Egyptian 3DO game. I think
Oh,
it
yeah.
was where it's like You have found Anubis.
Yeah.
He is a god of death. And it's like, what the fuck? And then even he's like, oh, what the fuck? Yeah.
Mhm.
I like James Rolfe.
Yeah. He's one of those guys who hasn't really changed too much, even though he got kind of big, you know.
No, he's been solid, and
Yeah.
you know that's why I think that's why I have a big respect for him, is that he's pretty much he's done his thing. He's
Yeah. Because I'm sure she's a millionaire by now, you know.
well, I don't think I'm not even thinking about money. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking like, he's able to he set out to make videos and he wanted to do movie productions and stuff.
Yeah.
And he got to do that. He created an OC character, you know. Oh, that's stupid to say that OC character, but he did that,
Just a
and
bit redundant.
yeah,
Original character.
I want to double down. And
But the question is, did he create an original OC character?
well, I don't know. I mean, are we gonna sit there and find out that, you know, there's like a fucking Warner Brothers offshoot of Angry Video Game Nerd lurking out there in the background that was like, you know what, ticket do? It was my stick. And then this Angry Video Game Nerd, he took my stick. Like Shelbyville or something. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like Louis C. Clark's and Dennis Leary's stories click for being an asshole.
Oh God. You know what? James Rolfe, let's get together and write this story about an Oswald type character. He was the angry nerd before you, and he was writing about like Amiga and Atari games, and then you came along and he was like, "What the fuck? I was doing this before you. You son of a bitch! I even had a pocket protector, and I had bifocals. I don't know."
And again, check, because you're still trying to make that argument. A bicycle means 2 wheels
Oh,
for
God.
every bike, or for every vehicle.
All right, so
It's
shall it be
common
written?
feature.
So shall it be done? We're done
So-
with it.
A
So says-
bi-weekly meeting would be 2 weeks for every meeting.
You figured Czech would know that being a calendar nerd, you know.
Yeah. You're failing as a calendar spurg with your insistence that bi-weekly should mean semi-weekly.
Listen, we chiseled this into the fucking stone tablet already. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to take it back.
Just blame
That's-
Czech for bringing it back.
Yeah, it's very hard to erase this. We're not going to do it.
I have brought you the 16, 10 commandments.
Yep.
See, that, you know, I got to watch some. Because I was watching Robin Hood Men in Tights recently.
Good movie.
Yep. I'm going to have to watch some more of them movies. Spaceballs. Oh.
You should also look at some of the old school, absolutely brilliant spoof comedies.
Yeah.
Not the shitty ones that started getting made, like a Spartan movie and shit like that. No.
No.
I walked
Dude,
out on that movie.
No, Naked Gun. The first
Yep.
2 movies are on YouTube, so if you want to
Nice.
watch them, they're free on YouTube. Yeah, Leslie Nielsen, fantastic actor, 100%. And you
I've
know
been
what?
watching old Jackie Chan movies again.
Whoa,
Yeah.
you going kung fu route?
Oh yeah.
See, the thing is that the directors and writers for the Naked Gun movies and for Police Squad, the
Yeah.
television series that was also the same characters, knew exactly how to handle Leslie Nielsen, because Leslie Nielsen is fucking brilliant if you know how to deal with him.
He was a soap opera actor.
Yep, and what you did with Leslie Nielsen, or to get just unbelievably hilarious result out of it was you told him to play everything completely straight.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, he's for the soap opera, everything is straightforward,
Yep.
it's serious, and so whatever they wrote, he was gonna say it, and he managed to fucking pull it off without breaking any. Like,
Yeah.
if you read some of the re, re, I want to say reports or retweets or whatever, but the people talking about working with him, it was always like, this dude was able to fucking pull this off, and we had to do reshoots because the rest of the people were cracking up, but he was still sitting there like
stone face it.
Yeah, and he was like, "Whoa, I don't understand why you're all laughing."
Well, that's a good straight man, you know. So
no, that's dedication. He was been an actor for a long time before he started doing that stuff.
The problem is that later on in some of the ones that he did that were in the really bad spoof movie genre of the what is it? Dead and Loving It was probably one of the most borderline ones that he did. It had some good moments, it had some god-awful moments.
That was when he was the vampire, right?
Yes.
Dracula? No, it was I love when he was like, "I'm eating chicken and drinking wine."
Yep. But that had, some of the time, it was clear that he had the idea of play this entirely straight. Other times, there was that kind of, no, this isn't going to be played entirely straight. And that kind of killed the comedy of those scenes where it wasn't entirely straight.
I would say that's like Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, Mr. Magoo's another good example where it is not played straight, and because it wasn't played straight, it wasn't funny. Whereas when you're talking Police Squad and Naked Gun and those movies, it was played straight, it was fucking hilarious. Surely you can't be serious. I am, and don't call me Shirley. Here's what's going on. When you get those sorts of lines just given very quick, without any pause for laughter, without any wink or nod, just steamrolling straight through, that becomes hilarious. And those old school movies also had the rule of, if a joke is happening in the background, everything in the foreground is entirely serious. If a joke is happening in the foreground, everything in the background is entirely serious. So,
makes sense.
So it highlights it more.
Yep, a great example of this is in the movie Top Secret. I've mentioned the scene on air before, but it stands up and it deserves to be recognized for when something in the foreground is serious, something in the background should be silly. So in Top Secret, there's a point where the main female lead is being questioned by, I think it was Gestapo. It was either Gestapo or Stasi. And in the background, they were in a restaurant. The Gestapo was questioning the woman. They had just been let into the restaurant. The male lead had been dragged off because he was told, "I'm sorry, you can't come in here. You need a suit in order to dine at our establishment." So you're thinking that, oh, they're just going to take him into the back room, because a lot of these places would have a back room where they have a series of rental suit coats, effectively.
That's not a good sign.
And you would give them a rental suit coat, they're able to go. So that's just something that would happen at these sorts of clubs. In the background, as she's being questioned, and it's going back and forth between her face, it's a camera A, camera B shot pattern. between her and the Gestapo or the Stasi that was questioning her. In the background, whenever it's looking at the woman's face, you see he's getting a suit tailored in the background. They're measuring him, doing all kinds of weird shit with measuring gags, and then once they get all the measurements done in those camera A, camera B background clips, they also end up with like him in a zoot suit, him in like a fucking thing of plate mail, him in, and it's just all different outfits and costumes that they're slapping him in these really quick camera A, camera B cuts. Every time that they cut back, he's in something else, and then he comes out in a proper suit once the interrogation's done. And another beautiful example is at the point where the movie's at its tensest, the climax. The hero has just started fighting against the villain. At the very end of the movie, they end up falling into the water, and they start fighting underwater, and it's a very tense scene as they're holding their breath, trying to strangle and beat and subdue each other. And in the middle of this fight that's just going back and forth, the main character slams the villain into a bar. Where the fuck did the bar come from? But there's a bar in the bottom of this lake, and then there's a bartender who's just polishing a glass, looking like he's from an old saloon. And they're continuing to fight as this bartender's just polishing the glass. The main character reaches back, the bartender grabs a bottle, hands him a bottle. The main character shatters the bottle over the villain's head. He tosses the villain down the bar, tosses him onto a poker table, interrupting a poker game that a bunch of people, again, straight out of an Old West saloon, in the waistcoats and with their 6-shooters and everything just immaculate, like they had just walked off set for Western. He slams him into the poker table, interrupting their poker game, picks him up, throws him through a window, which there's no wall, there's just a window suspended in water for no fucking reason. It's there. He jumps out of the window, continues the fight. They come back into the double swinging doors again, just floating in the middle of the fucking water, back into this bar that's at the middle of the fucking lake. It is comedy fucking gold. Because it is a serious scene that has a lot going on, but you're just laughing your ass off. Because what the fuck is going on? And then you start realizing they've been fist fighting underwater for like 15 minutes. Which makes it even more, what the fuck is going on? Are these people fish people out of Waterworld and I didn't realize it? How the hell are they still underwater fighting? And where the fuck is this bar from? And it's just brilliant. I miss those types of old school spoof movies where they were actual movies that told a story. They just had sight gags and verbal gags mixed in throughout the entire thing, but they kept a story going.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire thing. Airplane is another beautiful example of that. There's so many fucking sight gags and background gags and foreground gags happening in Airplane throughout the entire movie, but it still tells a fucking story. Whereas, look at Meet the Spartans as the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Meet the Spartans is...
I walked out on that movie.
unrepentant drivel.
Yeah.
OC is original character for when you reach this point, Spud Gun, which he's now only 13 minutes in the past.
He's catching up.
Yes, he's catching up. He's doing a good job at catching up. But the Meet the Spartans is unrepentant drivel that is a reference comedy without any of the comedy and without any story, because it just makes constant references. It doesn't actually do anything with the references. It's just, hey, you know what this is referencing? Isn't that amusing? You didn't expect this reference here. Continuing on, here's another reference to something else. And it's just reference after reference, stapled together with, and then tied with twine. And that is the limit of how the movie is put together. It is goddamn depressing to even refer to it as a movie with how horrendous it is.
Yeah. So I took some of that Belgian butter I have and sous vide a steak with it.
Very nice.
Yeah. It's nice and salty too, you know?
Yep. Did you dry brine the steak beforehand, or?
No, I just air vacuumed it.
Okay.
I can't afford big enough steaks to, dry age them.
Well, not dry age, dry brine. It's
Oh,
a
dry
different
brine.
process.
Oh, okay.
So, dry age is, well, you know, but for those who don't know, dry aging is you rest a steak in a very controlled environment for a series of days. So the outside ends up drying out rather severely, but it concentrates all the flavors and allows the tissue within the steak to start to break down in ways that you want it to break down. Every steak that you eat in the developed world is aged in some manner, but some of them are dry aged, some of them are wet aged.
Yeah.
Or rather, most of them are wet aged, few of them are dry aged. After the dry aging process, you end up with this really intense umami flavor throughout the entire piece of meat.
Yeah.
But you also end up with the pellicose, which is this toughened exterior. And you do not eat the pellicose. So you have to trim away the pellicose. You can use the pellicose to make certain things, mainly adding flavor to them. So like you can fry off some pellicose in a pan, remove the pellicose, and then throw in other things to make them taste insanely beefy.
Yeah.
But you always have to dispose of pellicose. You don't eat pellicose.
So could I use it to make a broth?
You can, but you have to be careful that you don't overpower
Okay.
everything when you're doing that. But so dry age, you cut off the pellicose, then you're left with a smaller piece of meat because you just had to trim off a fair bit of meat in order to remove the pellicose. But that meat has such an intense, beefy, umami, delicious flavor that it's well fucking worth it for most people.
Yeah.
Then you have dry brining, which is not dry aging by any stretch of the imagination. But what you do with dry brining is you salt and season your steak just like you would normally, 24 hours at the very least before you go to cook the steak. So you salt it, you pepper it. If you use pepper, you throw in your other seasonings. Then you put it on a wire cooling rack so that air can get all the way around it. And then you put that on like a baking sheet in your refrigerator for 24 hours or more.
Yeah.
The longer you dry brine, the drier the surface gets. But that's kind of nice because it helps you really get some beautiful maillards and get a nice crust on it.
Yeah.
But what happens when you're dry brining is salt on the surface, causes the moisture in the steak to get pulled out.
Yeah,
right?
because salt's hydrophobic, something like that.
It's hydrophilic.
Yeah.
Salt is ridiculously hydrophilic, so it pulls water towards it. Then the water hits the salt and starts to dissolve the salt. Makes sense, right?
Yep.
The next thing is the cool part, because now you have this salty water and this much drier piece of meat. So where does the water want to go? It wants to go back into the meat. So it pulls the salt that it's dissolved into the center of the meat. So you end up with a steak that is seasoned in every bite, rather than having a steak that has a really well-seasoned crust, but then goes kind of bland in the middle. You don't get that saltiness unless you make sure that you get a good cross-section with the salty exterior.
Yeah.
So you end up with a much more balanced flavor throughout your steak by dry brine. And also, it causes your steak to give up less moisture in the cooking. So you end up with a overall juicier steak.
Huh.
And it is amazing. So the movie from 6 minutes ago that was the good movie is Top Secret. That's the one with the aquatic barroom fight.
Yeah.
The movie that I was railing against for being unrepentant drivel that no one should ever watch, and the people who were responsible for the production of that movie should hang their head in eternal shame for ever thinking of producing that movie, let alone actually fucking inflicting it upon the rest of the world, is Meet the Spartans.
Well, talking about brining, do you dry brine your chicken too, or do you like soak in buttermilk like I do?
Oh, it depends on what I'm doing with it.
Okay.
I'll dry brine chicken, I'll soak it in buttermilk if I'm planning on frying it.
Yeah.
I'll do a bunch of other preparations for it, depending on how I'm using it. So, like, if I'm doing skin-on chicken, and I want to do it entirely in cast iron, not frying it, just getting really nice crispy skin,
Yeah.
really juicy, succulent meat, then I tend to dry brine. If I'm planning on frying it, then I'll either use buttermilk, or I'll pickle, or not pickle, but I'll brine it in pickle juice.
Okay.
Or really, the liquid from any pickled thing. So you can, if you like the flavor of jalapenos, for instance, you can use pickled jalapenos.
Mm-hmm.
And you can brine your chicken in pickled jalapeno juice, which will not really make it spicy, but you'll get all the other flavors of the jalapenos throughout the entire chicken.
Yeah, I do that with carrots too. I pickle them with jalapenos.
Yep, and you can do standard pickle juice, really good. You can do pickled okra juice, really good. Pickled juice from pretty much anything that's pickled, not just standard pickles, but other pickles as well, work really well in order to add a nice acidity. And that is a match made in heaven when it comes to fried food.
I actually found out like some pickle juice and beer goes good together.
Yeah, the sour, salty, and
Yeah.
if you have the right balance, yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes I will beer brine as well.
Yeah, because I sometimes take like my honey pickled apples, the vinegar from that, and add some dark beer. It's amazing.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. You get the sweetness with the bitterness, you know?
Yep. But yeah, it is... Dry brining is one of those things that I recommend people experiment with when it comes to cooking. Because Adam can attest, when I was there for the 4th of July, we had steaks that I made sure we dry brined all the steaks.
Yep.
And I used a really fantastic, flavorful salt because
Nice.
I used my Maldon smoked sea salt. So, not only did the salt get evenly distributed through the meat, but you also had that oak smoked goodness of the Maldon throughout the entire steak, which just that's sinful. And the next time that we end up doing something like that, I'll make sure that I remember to bring my Tocky powder as well. Because dry brining a steak with a really good salt, some Tocky powder, and then if you like pepper, use pepper. If you're like me and black pepper kills you, a couple other types of things that are similar to pepper, not identical, but similar to pepper, are grains of paradise and a pretty much more archaic seasoning that Adam might have heard of. Most people haven't really, unless they're fans of Indian cooking. Long pepper.
Yeah, I've heard of that. It's super expensive, but it's supposed to be like a sweeter flavor, like a sweeter.
It has a different flavor, but it is still gives kind of that peppery heat. It isn't the same family, so for those, like I said, who have a bad reaction to standard pepper, long pepper, you might not have that reaction to. But it has kind of like a almost cinnamony note to it as well. And then, yeah, it is a little bit of a sweeter, almost more floral pepper flavor.
I mean, I do feel bad for the people who can't eat cilantro because it's amazing.
Yeah, they have the wrong taste buds, and I feel sorry for them.
Well, a lot of people don't do cilantro right in the first place. Like, the trick with cilantro is to use the whole thing. Don't just use the leaves. You actually should be using the stems.
It depends what you're doing. For
Yeah, it
topping,
depends on the prep.
you just want the leaves. If you're cooking with it, then you have the stems and all.
And if you're making a marinade, you do an equal mix of
My
everything.
goodness, you better not give us COVID.
Nah,
Good,
that
no
would be
salsa.
more like pipe COVID, because that's my problem.
All the way from Pakistan.
Yeah, sorry, my pipe is crappy. Keep meaning to buy a new one.
Or clean it, you know.
Yeah, I would, but I'm on funds, you know. I live in commie Canada, so you know. I'd ask for more money, but
expensive out there, huh?
And
I'd ask for more money,
Keeverdam
but I'm not a liberal.
Keeverdam's yelling at you, don't lie to... Or, sorry, I misread that. Don't die on us, Jen. I thought it was don't lie to us, Jen, when I first glanced over and saw
Don't
it.
lie to
Hey.
us, Jen.
And let me just say another song that sounds like something that the Ramones would say. Come, Canada. Come, Canada.
Only for a
Beat on
couple
the
more
breath.
weeks.
Now I'm just
Only for a couple
thinking...
more weeks.
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, goddamn. Now, so, when I went to Japan, one of the places that I went... Or, in the area that I stayed at in Tokyo, there was this little bakery that was amazing. And I think it was just called, like, American Bakery or some shit like that. But they would play just old school, like, 80s pop music constantly.
Gross.
And almost every time that I went into the store, I would be greeted with "Come, camellia," and it just made me laugh every time.
Are you guys getting infected on your Twitter with K-pop on your timeline?
Oh, I get a fair bit of K-pop on timeline.
I don't think I've ever seen any K-pop on my timeline.
I get it a lot. It annoys me.
The question is, are you getting the bad sort where it's the guys, or are you getting the good sort where it's
I'm getting the guys. And it's all under the food category, too. Which pisses me off.
Wait,
Yeah, you're getting the wrong
what?
sort. The sort that you want is you want the attractive, cute girls.
Yeah.
Not the guys.
I mean, they look at girls, but no, you know. What do you hear on China's banning non-masculine men on TV now?
Yeah.
Say again?
China's banning non-masculine looking men on TV.
Yeah, they're going after the effeminate.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, they are probably also going to ban unattractive women.
Probably.
Because this is the thing. For some fucking reason, our communists in the States seem to think that China is not really
Dictatorship?
what China is.
Mm.
Because China doesn't want to weaken itself. It wants to be perceived as ridiculously strong, and it wants to be strong. So it puts forward everything to display that strength. Whereas our communists are trying to make us seem ridiculously weak and appear ridiculously weak.
I mean,
So
Biden
they're
does that for us
putting out-
enough.
Yeah. So they voted for Biden. They push for bullshit woke media advert or military adverts like the. So there was one in their series of adverts that they did not terribly long ago that wasn't god awful. All the rest sucked. The one that wasn't god awful was a woman who had joined the military. And the reason why she joined the military was when she was younger. Her father was in the military. And she looked up to her father when she was really young. She hit her teenage years, started to rebel. Her father tried to bring her back in line and get her to keep working, keep doing things that she needed to do in order to improve her life. And eventually ended up having to send her to live with relatives to see if they could sort it out because things were just getting worse and worse. When she became older, she realized she had fucked up and treated her dad like shit and decided to join the military as a means of getting her life back on track, as well as showing her father that, see, I'm able to do the right thing. I'm able to be a good person. I'm able to defend other people.
Yeah.
That one was a rather touching commercial. The thing is, that one got the least airtime because they had to talk about how I joined the military because my two lesbian moms. Okay, what does having two lesbian moms have to do? Because I'm a strong woman. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? So I'm going to show everyone that I'm able to be strong and people should fear me.
Fear
damn it.
me!
Well, I'll tell you, the women in the military are kind of
Fear
scary.
me! Sorry, I know a friend who does that really well.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to fuck with the women in the military because they get mad when you call them ma'am. So,
There's several different groups of women when it comes to women in the military. You have the women in the military that insist that they're held to the standard of everyone else. Those people are fucking hard chargers.
well, it's why they hate to be called ma'am because they want to be called sir, or by their title.
I know
earned.
a good chunk of those are still perfectly fine with being called ma'am. They just want it not to be said snidely.
Yeah.
Because there's another category of women in the military which end up causing most women in the military to get a really bad name, which are the ones that they want all the prestige,
But none of the effort.
none of the responsibility, and they don't want to be held to any of the standards.
Well, they don't last long anyway.
Some of them, unfortunately, last a fair bit.
Mm.
And then there's also another category, which are the women that are desperately trying to be mattresses. And they also give women in the military a horrendous name. Especially when they try to be mattresses, and then the moment that doesn't get them what they want, they then start trying to say, well, sexual assault in the military is horrendous, and you're going, you sucked and fucked your way through boot camp, you sucked and fucked your way through this, you sucked and fucked your way through that. It's the Me Too movement bullshit, where there are actual instances where horrendous shit is done. No one's denying that. But when someone chooses to suck and fuck their way to get ahead, when they then
Kamala
come
Harris.
out and say, yeah, Kamala Harris, pretty much 90% of the Me Too Hollywood people that went out or started ranting and raging about Weinstein and how fucked up Weinstein was. There was 2 or 3 people that I actually felt like, yeah, they had been screwed over. 1 or 2 of them were underage when the shit happened.
Ooh.
Obviously, they got fucked over.
Oh no.
Not trying to be funny with that phrasing, just they obviously did not consent to it because they were underage. One of the others was an Italian model who Weinstein came onto. She declined his come on. He then tried to force the matter, and she got the fuck out of there. Because, no. And then not only did she get the fuck out of there, she reported it to the police.
Yep, and they did nothing.
The police did go to do something, at least initially, because they wired her up for an undercover, effectively. And she went back, started acting normally around him, and he again came onto her, again tried to force the matter physically, this time with police recording everything that happened during this incident. She was able to get out. The recordings were taken, all of that shit was taken, and then the police decided to do nothing. Or really, the prosecutors decided to do nothing.
Yeah.
It was more the prosecutors than the police. And that was just what the fuck.
Yep.
So she obviously got screwed in the situation. I felt sorry for both, or for those groups. The people I did not feel sorry for are the ones that they were offered, hey, if you fuck me, I'll give you this part. And their response was, where do I sign?
Yep.
Because I'm sorry, you did not get raped. You decided that you were a whore. And you decided, of your own free will, of your own volition, that your particular price was that part. So the people that were actually hurt by what you did wasn't you. You weren't hurt by screwing him.
Nope.
The people that were hurt were the people that, had you not fucked him to get ahead, would have gotten the role.
Mm-hmm.
They got screwed out of the career. You didn't get screwed out of anything. You heard the terms. You agreed to the terms. You followed through on the terms. Your price was given. You were compensated in accordance with the terms. And you got a career out of it. And then after you become big enough that you don't have to worry about it, now you're going to come back and say, well, he fucked me in order for me to get my starting role. Sounds like you got a good end of the deal there.
It sounds like you used him.
Yeah, you now have a career based on a performance that none of us got to fucking see.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just that. Them accepting those terms makes it harder for the next girl to come along, because now she has more pressure to do it. because everyone else is doing it. If everyone else is willing to do it to get the part, then you're expected to do it too. You know, like then you get a girl who like, and I hate throwing her out there. You get a girl like Rose McGowan who probably wasn't okay with doing it, and that's why she charged him. That's why she's the one who got him in trouble, because she didn't want to, and all the other girls before her who were like, yeah, I'm okay with it, made it harder for her to say no. I just want a job. I just want to act.
Yeah, like I said, the people that were the actual victims were the ones that didn't get the role because they decided that they would fuck for it. And then the handful of people that were underage, because, yeah, if they were underage, a crime was absolutely committed.
Yeah.
They are not at fault for that.
Well, think about that. Asa and Chario was stupid, that 17-year-old boy, and he got in no trouble for it.
Yeah, the Asia Argento bullshit, where she was grooming a dude. She was a big proponent of the Me Too, and we need to listen to survivors, and then she gets accused, and no, don't listen to him.
He's
He's fucking lying. And here's all the evidence that this happened. Evidence? Who are you going to listen to? A man or a woman? Completely forgetting that she had been arguing that we need to listen to the victims.
Only the female victims, though.
Listen and yeah, that's what it came down to. It was listen and believe the females.
Because Terry Crews came out too, and he got nothing for it.
Sanguine rhymes with penguin.
Huh.
I could see you pulling a penguin. You know.
It's only Scribe that says sanguine, or sanguine. How the fuck does he say it again? It's sanguine, which then would rhyme with vagine. But yeah, it's sanguine.
Oh, he's asking because Spud misspelled your name.
Rhymes with penguin. And yes, it is sanguine is how he ends up pronouncing it.
He emphasized the EU, you know. That's why I just call you Sang. It's easier.
Yeah.
Well, I say sanguine.
Yeah. A lot of people call me Sang. A lot of people call me Sanguine. Fucking no one calls me Mugavon.
I can't even say your last name. I tried.
Even when I try to say it in the most American way that I can, Mugavon.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have trouble pronouncing it.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, I wouldn't want people to refer to me by my last name. Like, hey, who?
Mr. Adorable?
No, that's, well, thank you. But no, you know, not to say my last name. But yeah, no, that'd be weird. But yeah. Sangs.
Terry Diamantis says, Sanguine is so funny, he's named after one of the four humors. Very nice joke there. Also, it is so I've mentioned this before. It's at, I believe it's Bolsover Castle in the UK. There's one of the rooms that was one of the main entertaining rooms at that castle has the depictions of the humors around the walls, with the exception of one. And the one that it's missing is Sanguine.
Huh.
And there's a reason why it is not depicted on the walls, and that reason is Sanguine is associated with being in good humor. So Sanguine often means jolly, especially jolly despite circumstances. And this is why some people are described as having a sanguine countenance. That means that they have kind of a ruddy face, and ruddy faces are associated with drinking and laughter. So someone that is affable and having fun and encourages other to have fun is someone who's sanguine. So, since this was the entertaining room, the king was meant to be the personification of sanguine in the room, which is why he was not displayed on the walls. Because why would you have him on the walls when he's standing in the middle of the room?
Yeah. But your name means other things too,
unless
though.
unless you're living in the world of King Henry, in which case you have ears on the wall. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
The
Well, better to hear
faces
you
of
with.
people listening in on you.
And apparently, Spudgun omitted a U by accident. And yes, he did. He omitted a U in my own name.
Well, I told you misspelled it.
Yep.
It happens, though. But your name does mean, like, what? Charisma or blood or, like, bold, too?
So, sanguine has the jovial, especially jovial in hardship meaning. Then a much older meaning of sanguine is blood or bloody, because, of course, sanguine comes from the Latin word sanguis, which sanguis just means blood.
Yeah.
And due to that, you can technically combine the meanings. So it is someone who is both bloody, which is another way of saying they are, I guess, wrathful, but it's not quite wrathful. As well as jovial despite circumstances. And then Maghghamhain is Old Irish Gaelga, or Old Irish Gaelic, is another way of referring to that. And that means bear and son of bear.
Yeah.
And yes, there's sangre in Spanish, there's sang in French, there's sangu in Italian, there's exsanguination in English, which is to bleed someone dry. They're all from sanguis, which is
Nice.
the Latin.
The more you know.
Yep. And
Like,
it's
I actually...
okay.
Yes. No, I was gonna say you actually watch the old G.I. Joes on live streaming 24/7 now.
Nice. And let's see. Something was just mentioned in chat.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what was being talked about for that. So, let's see. It was, I think, about how Pterodactylus' name is pronounced.
That was Diamantis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tomato. Or potato. But honestly, the only time I've ever seen someone call something a potato, it was a little puppy that looked like a little potato. So.
Yeah, like I said, tomato. Yes, I've heard both of those.
Mhm.
They are in common parlance. They're in common tongue. No problem with tomato. Who the fuck says potato unless they're saying it for comedic effect?
Yeah. Well, I just found out you could dry age the steak in honey too, so, you know,
Yeah, I
the
can
more
see
you
that.
learn.
Yeah. Well, it's an antioxidant, technically. Yeah. It's honey, so. Yeah.
Well, it has enzymes in it too that break down stuff.
You can dry age in a number of things when it comes to steak, but the main thing is you just need to get the environmental conditions right. So there's, in fact, a specialized membrane that you can get for vacuum sealers
Yeah, I saw
that
those.
you can use to dry age beef, or really any meat. And it allows moisture to get out without allowing moisture to get in.
Yeah.
To be honest, you're not too far off from how they go about making maple hams, because I remember when we would get those in, and they just came in as sacks of meat in bags of maple syrup, basically.
Yep. And the tomato, depending on which version you're talking about, scientifically, yes, tomato is absolutely a fruit.
Yeah.
According to the tax code, tomatoes are vegetables.
Well, it's just they're more often used as like a salad or something like that. But yeah, despite the fact everyone makes basically puree out of it. Hello, spaghetti.
Yeah, bolognese. You know.
Spudgun, a tomato salad does happen because you have caprese salads. But if you're talking a more mixed tomato salad, that's just salsa.
Or pick the gallo, you know. That's to me a salad too.
Kivran, you're wrong. Tomatoes can be used in desserts.
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
There's a number of uses for tomatoes in desserts.
Tomatoes are sweet too.
There's tomato ice cream that you can get.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, effectively it's a roasted tomato that's pureed and mixed into the ice cream base, and then...
Okay. Maybe I'll do a video on one of these days.
Also add in some basil to it, and you end up with a tomato and basil ice cream, which is rather good from what I hear.
Is that one of Joe Biden's favorite ice cream flavors?
Well, it's probably just like a tomato soup. It's the same thing, just frozen, you know.
Well, it tastes like a
tomato soup.
No, it wouldn't taste like it because of sugar.
Yeah, it'd be sweet and kind of an interesting, almost earthy note to it as well.
Yeah.
From the roasting. But yeah, it's something that has been done. And you can make
ice cream.
Very herbaceous ice creams.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, so you can make some really herbaceous.
Odd way to place it.
I did have matcha ice cream. That was pretty good.
Yeah, matcha ice cream is amazing. Though one of my favorite odd flavors of ice cream is ube ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, ube, U-B-E. Ube is Japanese purple sweet potato.
Oh yeah, the sweet one. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a purple. Yeah. Yeah, the Philippines do that a lot too. Actually, they really like.
I've never had the purple ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple different varietals that are similar when it comes to the purple sweet potatoes. So you have the Japanese purple sweet potato. Then you have an Okinawan sweet, if I remember correctly, which is a lighter purple than the Japanese. The Japanese is like you just have Crayola crayon purple. The
even
Okinawan
for that you
is
have
more
to
light
to
purple.
check the potatoes too, because we do get a purple one from Japan, but the inside is actually white.
Yep.
So that's actually the difference. The one that Sanguines is talking about is actually purple all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay.
But both are sweet. Like the one that I was describing before, it's also really sweet. So if you wanted to use one for the dessert type style, that one will work. Like it was twice as sweet as a regular sweet potato.
I'm sure you can make a pie out of it. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Sweet potato pie. Yeah. So.
And if you're looking for a more Asian dessert with that, what you can do is there's a green tea yam cake that you can make.
Yeah.
Where effectively you slice the potatoes, you parboil them so that they're cooked 90% of the way through. Apply the green tea. I can't remember the exact method. There's like 2 or 3 different applications of green tea in the dish in order to get them to really take on the flavor. And then they're either roasted the rest of the way, so that they kind of puff up in the middle from the steam, or they're fried so that they kind of puff up in the middle. And both of those preparations are delicious as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why you get a lot of desserts in Japan that have like sweet potato filling or mochi.
I do want to try one of those gooey rice cakes they make.
Yep. Yeah, the ones that you're probably referring to are the mochi cakes. Or not mochi cakes, the mochi balls.
Yeah.
And
I've tried them. They're Yeah.
Delicious.
Some people like them. I won't judge.
Which one did you have? Did you have the Adski or did you have one of the ice cream?
It was a mochi. It was just a regular mochi, but it was
Most mochi are filled.
yeah, they did have different flavors. There was one that was like a cocoa. There was a coffee one, and then there was just a regular one. So I tried one of each, just so I could get kind of an evaluation of it. Regular one was the best one. Sometimes messing with flavors is not a good idea.
Yeah.
But I found that the other two they were just a little bit off. Like the flavors didn't quite mix well, and the powder, it was too much powder. Because they used powdered cocoa and powdered coffee to flavor it. But if I were to try one, I would go with the regular one first, just because that way you get a base idea of what it's supposed to taste like.
See, if I'm going to recommend someone try mochi, I'd recommend the most approachable version of mochi for Americans and Western taste buds will probably be ice cream mochi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's mochi wrapped around a ball of ice cream, and you can get those in all the standard ice cream flavors. If you like those, then try some of the other flavors of mochi. And if you're a really big fan of Asian sweets, then go for the Atsuki mochi, which is the red bean paste.
Yeah.
Mochi.
'Cause I bought some rice candy from the supermarket one time. That was pretty good. So.
Yeah, not all things are bad. Like like what I was saying. Like I just find like sometimes the Western and the Eastern doesn't mix. But it could also have been the brand too, because like I bought it from like a grocery store, so the brand itself could have been not that good.
Yep.
And the freshness does make a difference when it comes to treats. It's like chocolate. You get a box of chocolates, or if you go to like the chocolate store and buy them there, like the quality's automatically going to be a little bit better. And there's no way for me to know how I was supposed to keep it. Some chocolates are better off kept in the fridge or the freezer. I have no idea with mochi. I don't think that's the same with mochi, but I don't know that,
Mochi is typically kept in refrigeration or in the freezer, depending on what type.
Right, so I could have been better off putting it in the fridge first before I ate it, and just not known that, But I don't regret trying it. I'd rather go to Japan though. I'd really like to try the really pretty flower looking mochis that they do. Because they do all those different like designs and stuff, and God, it's such an art.
Yeah, I love Japanese food, and I really want to go back to Japan at some point because I had an amazing time eating my way through the country.
Yeah, I'd like to go there too, just to try all the food,
Yeah, I'd still want to go to the Weibo the Weeb area of Japan.
Of Tokyo?
Tokyo, yeah, the big one that's there. But other than that, I don't really see myself staying in Tokyo, to be honest. I'd rather see more of Japan than just Tokyo. Like, I really want to go to Kyoto. Like, I want to see the old Kyoto, because I know that's the original main...
Kyoto is beautiful, and it has more of a uniquely Japanese feel. Have you traveled outside of your country a lot before?
I've been on cruises, and I've been to the U.S., and I've been to Europe before. So, yeah, a little bit.
So you've been to a number of megacities before?
Yes.
You notice how megacities kind of feel like other megacities?
It depends on where you are.
New York City probably feels more like a megacity in Canada.
Yes.
Than
Paris.
New York City feels like a just standard city in the US, or than that Canadian megacity feels like a standard city in Canada. And megacities, this is just something that I've noticed from the megacities that I've visited. Megacities feel more like other megacities than they do cities and towns within their country. So if you're trying to get more of an experience of the specific culture, then uh, go to the non-mega cities. Well, I'm saying that just because that's an example that she had as touchstone spud gun. Because I would say that Tokyo and New York have more of a common feel than Tokyo and Kyoto or New York and the Twin Cities.
I never left the States, but I've been in pretty much everywhere in the United States, though. So.
Yeah, megacities just have their own unique feel that pretty much every megacity seems to have.
Another place in Japan that I'd like to go to is Osaka, specifically for the food tour. Because my understanding is if you want to see the commercial area, you go to Osaka, because that's what they do. They're the food business part of it. But there's still a lot of other places that I'd like to go to too. Like just on a food tour alone, you'll find out a lot about Japan. Like there's those like grade A chickens. It's the same as their beef. Like it's like triple egg chicken. Yeah, I saw Mike Chen eat that, and I was like, screw you, Mike Chen, and your travels everywhere. I'd like to eat that stuff too.
Also, one thing that is a Japanese cuisine that is really goddamn terrifying for a lot of Western is, how we can have medium rare beef?
Yeah.
We can't have medium rare chicken?
Yeah.
Yeah, due to the way that the Japanese raise their chickens, there's places where you can get medium rare chicken. In fact,
Or
there's
chicken
places.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's places where you get effectively seared chicken, just like you would seared tuna, where it's just the very outside is
And
seared.
tuna is amazing.
Yep.
So basically, they're killing the chickens there. Well, not necessarily there, but because you can do that. The problem is like the reason we can't is because you don't always know that the chickens were killed that day.
Well, it's not so much the issue of the how long the chicken has been dead. It's an issue of the
raising
diseases in the area.
Yeah.
So salmonella is really common in poultry products. Due to that, you can't have undercooked chicken without risking salmonella.
Yeah.
Just like, do you guys know how you get salmonella from eggs?
So you mix it all together, isn't it?
So that's Useless's go. Jen, what's your go?
Yeah, that was my understanding. Is it was because of bacteria. Like it's before before the chickens even laid the egg, they're already surrounded by bacteria. So,
there is no salmonella within the egg.
It's on the shell. So.
It's on the shell. So it's when the contents of the egg come in contact with the outside of the shell, that's when a chance for salmonella happens. So if you do a poor job of cracking your egg and chunks of shell fall in, you've increased the chance of that egg causing salmonella.
Well, that's why America bleach their eggs, isn't it?
Well, that's
or washes it in bleach.
part of. We tried to limit that by doing so, yes, but that also has the interesting side effect of most other nations.
Okay.
They have shelf-stable eggs for a period of time. They don't put them in the refrigerator. We can't just leave ours on the counter because we've stripped away a fair chunk of the outside in order to decrease the rate of salmonella exposure. But that also means that now they aren't able to just be sat on the shelf.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Yeah, that means the three of us are put in a position where we have to wait for our eggs to get to room temperature before we bake them.
Yep.
Who's the third of us?
Well, I don't know if you cook with eggs. I mean, you could. I just don't assume stuff unless you say that you do stuff.
Well, I've ever heard of Dad eating out, I don't hear him about cooking.
Oh, wow. That was good.
But yeah, it is. It's kind of sounding like we're winding down. Everyone in agreement?
Yeah,
Or
just a bit.
was
Yeah,
there a
it's a-
conversation that you were just waiting to get a chance to toss out? And
I got a Twitter argument, and the guy asked me for better zingers, so I gave him one, and he reported me.
nice.
But that's not it, though.
Did you respond to the report with, "Dude, they were literally asking for it"?
No, I just reported him back. Because I just told him to suck his mother's dick, you know? That was it.
Nice.
See,
There
you're
you go.
acknowledging that his mom was actually trans.
Yeah.
You're being nice. I mean, there's only so many ways you can call somebody a little shit before they figure out that you're just calling them a shit.
Yeah.
Though I do have to say, my preferred insults tend to be a bit more elaborate than just that.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorites is, "You're a sorry excuse for a missed opportunity at an abortion."
Yeah.
Yeah, your mom missed an opportunity for some free lunch. Oops.
Yeah, those style insults tend to just hit that right spot in my
Yeah.
sense of humor. I love those.
Yeah, my favorite one is the one I created myself, and honestly, it goes back to the abortion thing, and it was basically like, yeah, this guy is such a virgin that the only pussy he's ever seen. Oh wait, you were C-section. Sorry, you've never seen a pussy.
Nice.
Damn.
Yeah, that just reminded me of. Before we go to parting words, I have one joke that I made up ages ago.
Mm.
At least I think I made it up. I don't remember hearing anyone tell this joke. And it inadvertently became a bit of a intelligence check,
Ooh,
which was not the intention of it, but it ended up playing out that way. And the joke is, part of me thinks I'm crazy. The other part of me is named Bob.
Yeah.
And if someone kind of chuckles, okay, good to go. If someone goes, "What? I don't get it." Oh, you sweet summer child.
Yeah. Neither does Bob get it. Bob doesn't get it either, though. So.
So, let's go around for parting words. Yes, let's see you first.
Sure. I'll go something a bit different. You know, the smart learn from their mistakes. The wise learn from the mistakes of others. So be wise.
Let's go Adam next.
Well, I had fun chatting on the stream. Thanks as always for inviting me.
Always fun.
And you know what? God bless, and I love y'all.
Copy that. Jen?
the winter is probably coming. I'm only saying that as a Canadian because, you know, I've been saying that for a while. But Easter, no, wait, what am I thinking? Halloween. Halloween hasn't hit us yet, so don't worry about it. And have a good night, all.
And I'll leave off with... Yeah, I'll leave off with my... no, I'll switch it up. Just to reference what I read off earlier. Remember, when trolls are trying to attack, the proper response is, "I'll crush you to bits, body and bones." And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Goodbye. Have fun.
No, for real, that troll was stupid. He should have gone for the little goat. The little goat's going to be more tender.
Oh, good God.
Nice. Have a good night.
Night.